So let's just settle into a nice, comfortable meditation seated position. So if you're not muted, everyone's muted by the looks. Okay. And if you are sitting on your chair with your feet down, have them about a hip's width apart and really try and feel the soles of the feet on the surface that your feet are resting on. Be sitting right on top of your sits bones, shoulders are aligned with the hips. And imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just put some space in between those vertebrae, lengthen the spine. And just as you're settling into your meditation, just sort of allow the busyness of the day, the stress of the day, just allow it to sort of leave. And just let those cortisol levels just watch them dropping as you just breathe in and out. Be aware of sounds in your environment. Just allow those sounds to be there, trying not to follow with the mind. And then just notice the thoughts that are arising in the mind. And just try not to judge or criticize or get caught up in the story. It's so easy. It's just a habit for us to sort of daydream away. And keep breathing. And then bring to mind all the people of your life. You can start with the ones that you love, your dear ones. And spouses and children. And then there's the ones you don't like so much. And then there's our strangers. And just remembering that all these relationships will just shift and change and ebb and flow over time. And they may even change place. And then think of all the people in our life that we, feel irritated by. Bring them to mind, and maybe we can just ask ourselves, is this aversion? Could our mind possibly change towards this person? And then there's our strangers, bringing them to mind. Maybe you saw some strangers on the freeway. They're actually people in those cars with lives and loves and sadness and disasters. And they're all equal in their wish to be happy and their wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So think there is no negativity that can't be purified, and this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change that by creating positivity instead. So I think we start with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you've done to harm any living being in this life, on this day, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma, and we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others. We ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future, and we cannot bear the thought of the future suffering that we ourselves will experience, and we know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger and attachment and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. And we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has the methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we need the Buddha to forgive us. We don't need Vajrasattva to forgive us. We're not looking for a higher power. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon this medicine. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And if someone has their image there, that would be super. There you go. Thank you. And there's our Vajrasattva. So you can imagine just the image. This is just to give you a general idea. You don't have to imagine all this detail. And, if that detail is difficult for you, you can just imagine this white light Buddha energy above the crown of your head. It's made of this radiant, blissful white light. It sort of looks, you just imagine if there was a hologram or an image projected into the mid-sky above the crown of your head, about a couple of inches above. And sitting cross-legged on a white lotus, a moon cushion, has a beautiful radiant face. His eyes are shaped like lotus petals, and they're peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we've harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of someone you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then think of those people who have harmed you, and maybe even there's been animals that have harmed you, so have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them in the future. So we just, make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to the power of the remedy, and we start with the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mepiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Memutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Memutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Didu Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dina Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech. And imagine Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And just imagine it overflows quite forcefully and disappears into space. So you can imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapa Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. And now feel your speech is completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And this very much includes yourself, and also anything you put out in writing, whether you write a card for somebody by hand or whether you send an email or put something out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Next is the purification of the mind, and Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just like when you go into this room, it's dark, it's pitch black, you can't see anything, and you turn on this light switch and it instantly dispels the darkness. So it's the same. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness, bitterness, grudges, all of this instantly dispelled as you recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, sitokaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anurakta meboa, savasiti mepi yatsa sawa kama sita me, sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a humpe, vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, vajrasattva dinapatita, Dita meboa, sitokaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anurakta meboa, savasiti mepi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anurakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a humpe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anurakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified, and think there is no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So this time imagine Vajrasattva sending light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anurakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anuraktam boa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samayam manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Dida me boa sitokaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anuraktam me boa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Didu meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anurakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Didu meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anurakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Didu meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anurakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Dida meboa sitokaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anurakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatta sawa kama sita me. Sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. So now feel completely purified and just imagine there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So we've got a couple of minutes, so let's just meditate and imagine how that would be for us. And the fourth and final step in the purification process is the power of resolve. This is quite a crucial step because this is actually where this is where change happens, in fact, because we decide that we would like to do things a little bit differently. And it becomes, we make a determination to not harm with our body, our speech, and our mind. And, without making a decision like this, we're just going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. And this determination, this aspiration to not harm becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in more positive directions. You need to aspire to something. You need to want to do something for anything to happen. So, we start by working on something doable, something small, something that's doesn't trigger us too much. You can just make it really easy. If you make it too hard, you don't want to come back to it. Just make it so simple that it's just so ridiculously easy for you to do, and you'll achieve it. And remember to rejoice in your efforts. And particularly rejoice because we passed the 3-year mark now. It's just amazing. Pretty cool. All those Vajrasattva mantras going out into the universe, into your mind, into your ears, into the ears of your pets, your family. It's beautiful. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. And next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on the, emptiness for a little bit. So in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. And at what level your mind understands emptiness, just place it there for a moment. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy we've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing tonight's practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And then we think for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live very, very long, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for, of course, the long lives of all of our own personal teachers. All right, everybody. Thank you so very much. Lots of love. So nice to see you all. Tomorrow morning, Venerable Rabina is leading the morning meditation.